So it's actually pretty funny that the last movies I saw in theaters were Barbie and Oppenheimer, because now we're changing things up again with a movie that's not even close to either of them. The trailer for the new TMNT movie came out and it had great animation and a really weird voice cast, so I was interested. And the first thing that I'm happy to say is that it's good, and the second thing that I'm happy to say is that this is going to be a no spoilers review, like the whole time. I don't really feel like I need to talk about spoilers with this movie, and in the last two reviews, I just did spoilers, one because I couldn't be bothered, and one because it literally happened in real life. But with this one, I think I can avoid spoilers the whole time. I don't really need to talk about it. So yeah, let's just start, and the first thing that you're greeted with this movie is Nickelodeon movies, which is very funny. But it's also kinda cool, because even a studio like Nickelodeon, known for their hits such as Avatar: The Last Airbender the movie, and Wonder Park, can catch on to the amazing animation trends that have been happening, and make something that looks great. We have been getting constant great animation in recent movies. We got Spider-Verse 2, obviously, we got Elemental, which I didn't love, but it does look very good, and we got Mona on Netflix recently. Not to mention the really great new animation style that DreamWorks is picking up with both The Bad Guys and Puss in Boots 2. And while it's already public, and also kind of obvious that this movie took inspiration from Spider-Verse, because like every new animated movie does, I think it also took inspiration from The Bad Guys. That one Bad Guys fight scene that everyone was sharing around looks a lot like the fight scenes in this movie. You get fun background gags, clear fighting styles for each character, and it's just obvious that the people who made this animation know how to do smooth and creative animation. I've seen people say that they want every frame of this movie injected into their brain, and that makes a lot of sense to me. Outside of the animation, I think the best part of this movie is just that it's fun. The TMNT boys obviously have a brotherly vibe, and it kind of felt like that needed to be nailed going into this movie. Like, they needed to get it right, and they definitely did. If the boys were all angry at each other the whole time, this movie would be a lot less fun. And this whole vibe between the characters kind of gave me the idea that a lot of people misunderstood the target audience for this movie. I don't think it's for infant children, and there were a couple infant children in my theater. I think it's more just for like 6 14-year-old boys who all sit at the same lunch table. Like, there are references to both Attack on Titan and Drake. I think I can see where this movie is going. And this type of humor doesn't always work for me. Like, they say Riz twice in this movie, and both times I did kind of want to die. I didn't see it coming. I thought I was safe in the theaters. But at the same time, these dumb, goofy jokes with this casual, clean animation and that really fun soundtrack, I mean, all of it comes together. It's just a good vibe. And that kind of makes me feel like these are the type of characters that deserve like an episodic TV show. I'm sure the TMNT characters have already gotten that, but I mean like this cast, this style of animation, they should get an episodic TV show. I think that would honestly be better than this movie, because this movie isn't perfect. Because I think my biggest problem with this movie is like the plot. The plot of this movie is very basic, which I kind of could see coming, but it's also really predictable. Whenever they introduce a new character, you kind of get a general vibe of their whole thing. They basically tell you their motivations, and you can see how their story is going to end immediately. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of dumb. Sometimes with very predictable movies, I'll just be like, what? At a twist that like everyone else in the theater knew was coming. But I really do kind of feel like I knew this entire movie off of the first 20 minutes. Especially with a character like Superfly, voiced by Ice Cube, of all people. Like, I actually feel like I could predict his lines in each of his scenes. The TMNT backstory is also a little messy, but I think that's mostly just because it is really fast. It ties into a secondary villain who also kind of feels underdeveloped and quick in the story. It's not really a huge deal, but it seemed like she was going to have more going on, and she doesn't really. The scenes with her are fun, and the backstory is fun too, but I think with just like one more scene for her, and even just like a couple more minutes for the backstory, they would both be a lot better. There's also a couple other characters in this movie, starting with April. Her part in the story is also pretty easy to see coming, but I'm just gonna leave that behind. I'm gonna stop saying that, because it's kind of true for every aspect of this movie, but I don't want to get annoying. She's voiced by Ayo Edebiri, who's pretty fun in this role, and also just pretty fun in real life. She also carries around a notebook for most of the movie, which I'm like 90% sure has Easter eggs in it, and I am going to be rewatching this with a friend, so I'll try to catch more. But for now, all I got is that she definitely said that Raphael needed therapy, and she also drew them, and that's fun. Obviously, these are just little Easter eggs, but they are fun to pick up on because April's story is pretty simple, but these details, they add to her personality. Good animation and good animators doesn't just equal cool fight scenes. You can get that, and that's cool, but you can also get something like this, which will strengthen the plot and the characters. Sure, some artists could just be lazy and scribble a bunch of pretend writing on a notebook and call it a day, but some aren't, and I like that. On the other side of the supporting cast, you get Splinter, who is voiced by Jackie Chan, and that's kind of weird, but sure. I don't have too much to say about him. I think he's fun, and most of the best fight scenes in the movie are the ones that have him in it. I also think this sort of lame dad persona works here. It's pretty funny. A lot of the main message of the movie comes from Splinter's character arc, and I like it. I may have seen it before, but I don't really mind here. I think it's well done. Also, one more very strange note on Splinter. Definitely not something I thought I would have to say about this movie, but it is something I have to say. Well, not have to say, but I want to say it. He's not gay. Yeah, it sounds weird out of context, but I'll give you the context. There's a loser guy on Twitter who said that Splinter was gay in the new movie and that the new movie is so woke, it's ruining our childhood. And usually when they say stuff like that, it's actually true. Like, a character in a new movie is like gay, but it's not really offensive or anything. It doesn't matter. They just got offended by it. With this, he was like actually making it up, which either means that he did just make it up, like literally made it up to get mad at, or he was not paying attention, and I think it's that one. My guess is that he thought that Splinter's girlfriend in the movie, yes, Splinter is actually canonically straight in this movie, was a guy, and he was just wrong. I know that's kind of out of nowhere to bring up, but I just thought it was really funny. I wanted to say that. And weirdly enough, that is actually about all I have to say on this movie. I didn't expect it to be so short. The animation is amazing, the turtles are fun, the action looks nice, and overall the plot is kind of so-so. So I think I'll leave this movie with a 7 out of 10. This movie is getting really great reviews, and I think it's a little overrated, but, I'm not going to ruin anyone's fun, and I'd in fact say that you should go see this movie. I do want it to perform very well at the box office because I want other studios to see this movie and be like, oh shit, all we have to do to get money is, make something fun, and that looks good. The good animation craze is already spreading, but it should spread more. I mean, I love looking at these movies so much. We gotta make more of these. I will gladly spend my $12.50 to see any movie that looks as good as this one. Even if, everything else about it is shit, at least I'll be able to feast with my eyes. And as long as movies are making losers on Twitter mad, again, I will watch.